of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place me ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize, Creole and Garifuna.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day out here in wonderful Commonwealth. This is a day that the Lord has made. We want to rejoice and be glad in it. Turn with me to 2 Samuel chapter 10, chapter 11. And we're going to see a story there, but I want to start the story from the back. Let's see from the back. I want to read from the piece that has to do with what the Lord said. Verse 11 says, "This is what the Lord says. Out of your own household I'm going to bring calamity upon you. Before your very eyes I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all Israel." Then David said to Nathan, "I have sinned against the Lord." David should have been at war. Instead he stayed at home idle walking on his rooftop when he saw this young beautiful woman bathing, purifying her body. He lusted in his mind for her, and eventually in secret he got her to the temple, to his palace, and he slept with her. When she became pregnant, he ended up killing her husband eventually to cover the sin. Sometimes what we do, we don't consider that it has consequence on our own family. And so the Lord is saying to David, this wrong thing that you have done in secret, I will expose it. And from within your own family, you're going to have problems. Some translations said the sword that you took out. The sword, because he took out a sword against Uriah, one of his trusted men. You see, sometimes when we read these things, we don't understand that God is saying that he has those things as an example to you and I. David had no reason to do what he did, and we'll see as we continue to read. He only needed to ask God for more. Sometimes all we need to do is to ask God. Ask God for something. And it's there, instead of going about it in the wrong way and then creating a situation whereby we commit ourselves sinfully and then expecting God to forgive and forget. It doesn't work that way. David should have been at war. He should have been at war when this thing occurred. An idle brain is the devil's workshop. He was idle, and when he saw this young, beautiful woman bathing, he couldn't resent. He couldn't resist. So what did he do? He called for her. The person he asked told him that is Uriah the Hittite's wife. But he still did not stop. He eventually got her in his chambers and laid with her. And that's when his problem started, because when she became pregnant, he as king wanted to hide his sin. How can you say to the nation that is watching, when one of your trusted soldiers' wives, while he's off at war, has been abused by you? What is it that you say? You can't say anything to hide that. There's no reason for that. There's no excuse. That's right. And God is saying to him that that's what's going to happen to him. So can we read? It says, when he came to him, he said, there were two men in a certain town, one rich and one poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb he had bought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him. Instead, he took the ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for one who had come to him. That's how God put it. You see, the greatest teacher is the Lord. He tells a story. He tells a story, and sometimes we really don't think all the way through. He continues here in verse 5 and said, David burned with anger against the man and said to Nathan, as surely as the Lord lived, the man who did this deserves to die. He must pay for that lamb 4 times over because he did such a thing and had no pity. He knows the law. You take 1, you pay back 4. So David is saying here, this man who did this, the anger burned his heart because he saw it from another perspective, and sometimes you must ask God to give you a perspective on your actions that you may see the sin. And Nathan said to David, you are the man. You are the man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. I anoint you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hands of Saul. I gave you your master's house to you and your master's wives in your arm. I gave you the house of Israel and Judah. And if all that had been too little, I would have given you even more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down the red Hittite with the sword and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now therefore, the sword will never depart from your house, because you despised me and took the wife of your red Hittite to be your own. What sword have you taken out that will not leave your house? So the Lord is saying to David, this action that he committed, some people kill people by their tongues. The stories that they tell against people. I find myself victim to that. Like, so many people slay me with their tongues. I meet some people who I don't even know and they hate me as if though I had done something horrible to them because of the stories that they have heard about me. And all that they have heard is that I try to diligently do my job as much as I possibly can. There are several things in this story that should jot out at you before we close. One, the state and the church must work in unison to bring peace to the people. 2, be careful what sin you take out against somebody else, because long term, it's your own self you're hurting. 3, take different perspective on your action that you may see the sin that is in it. Do not allow this heightened sense of wanting pleasure to make you make the wrong move that will come back to haunt you. And lastly, the sword that you take out is going to work in your own house.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna.
Benny's is kicking off Father's Day with popping deals for dad. In the month of June, visit a Benny's near you and get 19 to 25% off selected items such as Milwaukee and Axie power tools, Charbroil barbecue grills, car care products, Karcher pressure washers, and much, much more. Make dad happy with popping deals for dad in June, only at Benny's.
Benny's, Benny's, oh, Benny's, 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 oh.
Pletz Home Builders is the largest house building company in Belize. Pletz combines the best skilled workers, high-grade materials, and the latest technology to produce the highest quality wooden residential structures. Request any size, color, and the home layout you want. Choose from hardwood or painted metal outer walls. Pletz can modify any of their existing house plans to your satisfaction. Complete with all the installation services you need anywhere in the country, including ambergris Cree. They can also lift your house to your desired height up to 9 feet. From properly treated and cured lumber to quality sidings and floorings, let Pletz Home Builders give your home the finish you need. For prices or questions, call 823-0398 or go to www.pletzhomebuilders.com. Pletz Home Builders, we build to suit your needs.
Hello Bemopan, welcome back to the second segment in this series of the Trade License Act 2024. I'm Councillor Chris Enriquez, and today we'll be discussing your business productive footprint and how it impacts your trade license fee. Let's break it down. Your business's productive footprint is the square footage of the area where your operations are conducted. It excludes common spaces such as agricultural lands, lobbies, restrooms, stairways, parking lots, storerooms, and shared hallways, unless they are used for profit. Your business falls under an economic classification based on your business type. This classification, as well as your zone, will further determine the rate applied to your business.
Hi, I'm Lauren Milton. I'm the Evaluation Manager here at the Bemopan City Council. I know a lot of people keep wondering what we're measuring when we visit their business. So let's take a closer look at what productive footprint looks like for the different types of businesses. As you can see, we measure the area used for business purposes only. This includes retail space, dining areas, or workspaces. For example, here's how the productive footprint is calculated for a coffee shop, a supermarket, and an office space, specifically an accounting firm. Let's take a coffee shop for instance. Here we see the kitchen, the bar, and the dining areas as productive space. What's noteworthy here is that a restaurant and an ice cream parlor has similar productive space as a coffee shop. Next, we have a supermarket. For this business, we measure the entire retail floor, including aisles, checkout counters, and display areas. The storerooms and employee break areas are excluded since they are not used to generate direct sales. Lastly, we look at an accounting firm office. The productive footprint here includes the client reception, conference rooms, and workspaces where the business's services are provided. Excluded are areas like break rooms, restrooms, kitchen, and non-operational storage. As you can see, productive footprint is the usable square footage where your business is conducted. This excludes common areas like lobbies, restrooms, and parking spaces, except in cases where these areas are used for profit. Remember, productive footprint looks different for different businesses, so be sure to accurately measure your premise to ensure your fees reflect your footprint. It is important to note that Schedule 8 of the Trade Licensing Act sets fixed trade license fees for specific classifications such as traveling professionals and auto dealers.
Knowing your economic classification and accurately measuring your productive footprint isn't the only factor in your trade license process. You must also consider that there are 4 municipal zones and that your business is located in one of them. Each zone has a different guideline that will affect the rate applied to your trade license fee. As a reminder, The new Trade License Act takes effect on January 1st, 2025. Businesses without a trade license by then are subject to penalties and fees. So we encourage everyone to apply early before the deadline, December 31st, 2024. Stay tuned to our next segment where we will answer your key questions. Thank you for watching, and let's build a prosperous Belmopan together.
Start the new year with big savings on your 2025 property taxes. From January 1st to March 31st, 2025, the Belize City Council is offering incredible property tax discounts that you won't want to miss. Prepay your annual property tax by January 31st, 2025 and enjoy 15% off. Pay by February 28th and you'll save 10%. And if you pay by March 31st, you'll still enjoy a 5% discount. But wait, there's more! Senior citizens can enjoy a fantastic 35% discount upon full payment of property taxes for the property they reside on all year round. Please note, these discounts are available only to property owners who are up to date with their accounts. As you take advantage of this discount, we kindly remind all property owners of your responsibility to visit City Hall or utilize our online platform to complete your payments and to ensure your contact information is accurately updated in our system. For more details on these incentives, visit our Belize City Council Facebook page or give us a call at 227-3073, extension 261 or 264. Your Belize City Council, always about the people.
And Shine Morning Show, your favorite morning show of choice. Trust that you enjoyed the devotion by Pastor Irvin Timbrell. He hails out of Good Living Ranch, that's in Camalote, the southern part of Camalote, heading towards Cayo. Good Living Church of the Nazarene, and we are grateful that we are able to use his devotions in the morning. And it is a beautiful day. Kind of bit cloudy, but we give God thanks for a wonderful day. The corn seeds are in the ground. I noticed that even with the sugar cane, the stumps are in the ground. I don't know what they call them, but they're just waiting for rain, and we are fully in the rainy season. We're going to start our live show this morning by first looking at the weather. So today is June the 17th, as I said before, and as of 6 a.m. this morning, the general situation calls for relatively moist and unstable conditions to prevail. There is a moderate to strong easterly air flow that is taking place. For the next 24 hours, expect sunny skies today with some cloudy intervals. Tonight, skies will be mostly cloudy with a few outbreaks of showers and isolated thunderstorms, which will develop mostly over south and over some coastal areas. Marine conditions, sea state is expected to be moderate to rough with waves 4 to 7 feet due to the winds blowing from the east at 10 to 20 knots. So there will be gusty winds. That means that there is a small craft caution that is out because they're expected to exercise caution due to gusty winds. Now, let's talk about temperatures. Inland temperatures, 92 degrees as the high and 74 as the low. On the coast, you can expect 86 degrees with 81 as the low, and in the hills, 78 degrees is the high with 68 as the low. outlook for Wednesday and Wednesday night is for cloudy skies, along with some outbreaks of showers, thunderstorms, and periods of rain, mostly south and on the coast. So that is your weather report for today, and we are grateful that again we continue to have a very clear Caribbean basin. So we don't see that any kind of tropical cyclone formation. We don't see any sign of that, which is good. We are, of course, in the early part of the hurricane season, and we advise and encourage you to do the right thing and to put aside a few grocery pieces of non-perishable groceries. Those are like in tin cans and so on, and packs that you can preserve and keep aside just in case there is a weather situation that will prohibit us from going out to buy. Well, a lot of things are happening in the world, and of course we start with our very own Belize news, and a lot of the news was circled around what took place over the weekend with the United Democratic Party. Certainly the word united does not really describe what is taking place at this particular point in time. You know, and as I observe, watch the news, listen to comments made by leader of the opposition, Tracy Panton, and then listen to Shine Barrow and his supporters. Well, the first thing I want to say is that the role that Honorable Tracy Panton plays is very clear. She is a leader of the opposition. And then the courts have decided that, according to the general interpretation that appears to be accepted, that Shine was still party leader at least up to the elections, because the courts declared that the convention that was held in October was not lawful according to the United Democratic Party constitution. Now, the thing is that sometime after the election, Shine Barrow submitted a letter of resignation. You will also recall that Michael Perry-Feet submitted a letter of resignation as well, and you don't see Michael Perry-Feet around. You look at the footage for Saturday, and I did not see Michael Perry-Feet. So, true to his letter of resignation, he disappeared from the scene. Now, Shine Barrow submitted the same letter of resignation. So why is he still on the scene? And I do not get a very clear statement from the National Party chairman, which appears to be Alberto Agas, as to the role of Shine Barrow. So it's like Shine is saying, I am the leader. Tracy Panton is saying, you are not the leader. And what exactly is Alberto Agas saying about the role that Shine is playing? So, I mean, it would be great if we receive a telephone call from him this morning to clarify, but from time to time he would say, okay, you can say that he is the former leader of the opposition, you can say that he's the former party leader then, because he has the right to enter into the National Party Council, and he sits there. The question is, does he sit there as party leader, or did the party receive his resignation and he sits there as a former party leader? So, to me, that is not clear. So there are certain things that you could see are decisions that are clear, like those who claim that they are part of the National Party Council, like Alfonso Noble, who is saying, I am a member of the, and then they have, clearly he's on the outside and cannot go into the meeting. And then you had somebody like Jose Uk, who recently entered into the party. I have known Jose for many years. He has appeared on the show on numerous occasions in his advocacy, and he's been an advocate for many different issues. And then just before the general elections, he placed himself as a United Democratic Party contestant. And I think that was for the Albert division. But I mean, he did not garner much votes, but yet it appears that he was invited to attend the National Party Council. So again, Alberto August would need to explain under what circumstances could he attend while Tracy Panton could not attend. And those are just some of the questions that, as you take a look at the events that took place on Saturday, you could see that there is still tremendous confusion where some people who believe they should be in, like Roosevelt, Blades, and you could see that Alberto August is saying that Blades and him go way back. These are foundation not necessarily foundation members, but they are long-term bona fide members of the United Democratic Party. Yet Blades is saying to and about Alberto August that he is destroying the party, and you could see that Blades himself apparently could not gain access as well to the meeting. And then to follow up on the confusion, Shine Barrow goes on television and does a commentary in which he said that if the meeting would have continued, or if the meeting was allowed to progress, we would have lifted the ban. We would have, like, a whole list of things that they would have done. Now, is that true? That's a question again. Is that true? Where is the documentation or the agenda to show that these were the things that were going to be done? Were they going to be addressed? Were they going to be brought up? Or were they going to be done? Because that's what Shine Barrow is saying. He's saying that these were things that were going to be done. So there is much confusion. Like, you can't just watch what is taking place and have a healthy analysis. There is just confusion. The analysis that you can have is that the party is still very much divided. There does not appear to be a genuine attempt to bring the parties together and just let the votes decide. Again, I've said before, and I repeated yesterday morning, that sometimes political parties tend to want to use manipulative methods to determine the outcomes. They want to determine outcomes. And it's only sometimes when you have very, very, very strong candidates and the party doesn't know, two of them are well grounded in the party or something like that, then you might see an attempt at an open convention. Other than that, there are always these attempts to determine who will and who will not get the chance to vote. And so there is no attempt to just say, okay, let's bring Panton in. She's clearly very, very, very popular. She won her constituency. She's the leader of the opposition. Like, she has all of these ticks under her name. And then who are the other contenders? Is it Hugo Pat? Is it Shine Barrow? let's bring them in and let's, when I say let's, I don't mean let us. I'm saying that they are saying, they should be saying, let's bring these contenders together and let's just together, all three, let them determine what the final list is going to be and then push it out to the people. So there appear to be attempts to call on certain portions of the Constitution, of their UDP Constitution. They're calling on, like, so like this one, one group is interpreting it one way, another group is using other articles to say who should be a part of the National Party Council. So it is very chaotic. As a person looking in, as a person who analyzes these political movements by the People's United Party and United Democratic Party, the road to October is not clear because they are saying that they will have a National Party convention. But at a National Party convention, only certain people can vote. Who can vote and who cannot vote will be the biggest fight that they are going to have. Who will be able to vote and who will not be able to vote, because some of the constituencies had two UDPs vying for the same post against the People's United Party. So if you look at Alberts, just as an example, who will be the candidates who are going to vote on behalf of Alberts, separate from your National Party Council people who are not necessarily aligned with one constituency but do the work of the UDP. So I don't think that they have they've set a date, in a sense, or a month. They've set that time, but the road to that time is, it will be full of manipulation, it will be full of accusations, it will be full of controversy, because the opposing sides are not sitting together, and because the delegates will determine who the next leader is, then they want to be able to determine who those next delegates will be for the purpose of manipulating or controlling the end result. Because if that were not so, then they would have been able to sit down and come up with an agreement. So the attempts to appear legitimate or setting up a legitimate road to October, I can't see that at this present moment. I just see more problems and more quarreling in the public domain. Which brings me to a wider discussion that I would love to have this morning, and our telephone number is 822-2031. And that bigger discussion speaks to our two-party system with very, very small third parties that are not growing by leaps and bounds in the midst of this great controversy that we see. What we see instead are small pockets of independent candidates that are coming together to vie for village council elections. And again, my observation is that these people do not want to align themselves with the People's United Party, because the People's United Party is putting up slates in practically every village. The United Democratic Party is unable to put forward slates in many, or I should say, most of these villages. So that is showing you that the division in the United Democratic Party is affecting is affecting the United Democratic Party's role of, which is to front and to contest elections. That is what these politicians say the primary role of a political party is, to contest elections. So the United Democratic Party, again, after the entire first term of the People's United Party, we're now entering into the second term. We are at village council elections, when this would have been the time for the United Democratic Party to begin to show some gains, that it didn't do it at the general election. So this round of elections would have been the United Democratic Party trying to show that it has restructured, it has reorganized, it has found new leadership, it has found new vision and direction, and it's moving forward. That's what the village council, as much as we say that village councils should remain free of political interference, political bias, it is not a law, it is not constitutional, therefore political parties do vie. So the United Democratic Party is unable to put forward these slates. The People's United Party is probably putting slates forward in all of the villages, but then there is a phenomena of the independent candidates, Biscayne, Guinea Grass. There's several independent slates. And these independent slates are showing, in my opinion, that these people do not want to run for the People's United Party. They don't want to be seen as United Democratic Party because the party is disorganized, but they are contesting these elections. So some of them are saying comments like, you know, we are independent, and we don't want to run under a political banner. To me, the independence of a group of people can be better seen if UDP and PUP had put forward a slate, and then there's a group of people that are saying we want to run independent. By the way, I noticed that in Georgeville, in the Cayo district, there is a very strong third-party slate that has been put together by the national, the People's Front, is it the People's National Front? But Nancy Marin is the leader of that political party, and they have a very strong slate in Georgeville. So it's going to be seen how that slate is going to perform. Now, that slate is very clearly a third party slate, because they have identified their color, they identify with a leader, they identify with a political party. So they are not independent. This is a third party movement that is taking place in Georgeville. But we would be able to see a true independent slate if you have a PUP slate, a UDP slate, and then you have this group of independents. So at this present moment, I think that some of these independents are UDPs that do not want to run as UDPs because they're under a People's United Party governmental regime, and their party cannot offer them support or protection for their decision to run. And so it is a bit more safe. It is safer and a better chance of even winning as independents. But there is still a stronghold between the People's United Party and United Democratic Party, and I believe that it is leading to several observations that I see in the People's United Party and several observations that I see in the United Democratic Party. There are observations that this hold that that these two major political parties have on Belizean can be seen in various activities that are taking place in the public domain. For the United Democratic Party, we see that they don't worry about the mess. They don't worry about the mess. The mess is leaking all over the place. Their former leader is saying that it's almost more than the soul can bear. They don't care. They don't care. Shine can come out, they will come out, they fight against each other, cuss one another, call each other words. The media is there. They don't care. They will use the most obscene, they will become violent, the police have to intervene. Some very high-ranking members of the political party are just cussing each other out, and the national cameras are there. It is streamed live to the country. They don't care. Why? Only two party there. Only two party there. One of these days, we are win anyway. One of these days, we are win anyway. It's almost like the sole heir to a wealthy person's chest, treasure, assets. Nobody else in line anyway. Nobody else in line anyway. So the party doesn't have to quarrel behind closed doors. They don't have to throw stone and hide their hand, because we have formed the next government anyway, if they're not next 5 years, that down the road. We are, you know, it's like an abusive, it's like an abusive relationship where you don't got no other partner for turn to, either the provider or either the one where I have to call to for money anyway. So I could go on as stupid as I want to be, because the only me you got, only me want you. And so I watch this in the United Democratic Party. I see this play out as a symptom of the problems we have as a nation by having generally a two-party system. You could not like me, you could hate me, you could say anything you want but me, but either your only alternative. Because so much of what is taking place in the public domain, if there were more than one parties, and if there was a possibility that there was a third very strong party, or even 4 political parties, the UDP would not be quarreling in the public domain. They would have resolved their issue a long time ago, and they would have been trying to put their best foot forward rather than showing the worst foot. So we see this fact that we have a two-party system. Then we one day win anyway, and so you could see the most vile, or you could hear the most vile, dirty language in the public domain, and then okay, because when for them party win, then when become honorable, whatever, ambassador, this they will become. So then okay. But I also see it in the way the People's United Party is ruling. I see it, you know. Well, that we are the government, and your other option, the UDP, that you want, well, that me, so I could do what I want right now. And if you vote me out because you don't like what I do, well, that then we come in and we will one day farm the government again anyway. Because why would a government that is in, a party, a political party like the PUP that is in, willing to take these huge integrity hits, character hits, like the contracts for the airport security, 28 million or whatever. Why are they willing to take those big hits? Why would, in this particular period of time, BTL write a press release about trying to acquire Smart and literally in our face trying to recreate a monopoly that Belizeans abhor, a monopoly which seeks to control independent television, Channel 5, Channel 7, Love FM, Creme, PlusTV, etc. Because that is what a monopoly did or attempted to do under Michael Ashcroft. And Michael Ashcroft is still around. He is still around in a collaborative effort of Smart with the Briceño family, who is Prime Minister. And then and Ashcroft just in the last election with the last administration with Dean Barrow won millions upon millions of dollars in awards from BTL. Now all of a sudden, BTL now wants to buy Smart and create a monopoly and then try to convince us through a press release that a monopoly is good for us as Belizeans. I mean, like why would the PUP do that? Why would the PUP allow that if it is not the mentality that, well, you know, the only we you have, the only we they are. And there was a time when Belize only had one media. And I lived in the end of that time. I am old enough to remember when there was only Radio Belize. You got your information from one single source that was controlled by the government. One source. Well, you can notice that media is no longer on the airwaves. Media is no longer on the airwaves. So back at the time of Radio Belize, you turn on your radio, and the signal was on the airwaves. And so you put up your antenna and you catch your TV or you catch your radio, and all your information came from this one controlled source, a monopoly. The person who broke that up was Prime Minister Musa. Prime Minister Said Musa was the person who broke that up by giving Creme a license, and then eventually Radio Belize was the assets and so on were privatized. I think Love FM was one of the primary benefactors, or they gained from that. And so we have a powerful Love FM, but it is private. Creme is private. And then you have Channel 5 and Channel 7, which are private. But I want to make it very, very clear that media does not ride anymore on airwaves. Yes, there is radio, which require a tower. We ourselves are putting up a tower for Plus Radio, but it is important to understand that the primary method of transmission for media today is internet. It is internet. So whether you are watching cable TV, your cable TV is coming through the internet. Your social media, be it if you are watching us on YouTube this morning or you are watching us on stream, if you are watching us through an app, the primary means of the transmission today is by internet. Therefore, when or if one single company controls that internet, you have a monopoly and your information is then again controlled by one entity. And I want to make it very clear, we cannot have that in Belize again. We, as a people, cannot have a monopoly over information again. Right now, Israel and Iran are at war. The first thing that the Shah of Iran, or the Ayatollah of Iran, did is cut off the internet from his own Iranian people so that they cannot see, hear, or understand the reality of what is taking place in Iran. Cut it off from his own people. When you have a monopoly of transmission, then okay, if you have more radio station or more TV station, it rides on one system. And at this present moment, we have a next-gen system, we have a Southern Cable system, we have a Centaur system. There are different systems of internet. They may have interactions, but it is not one system. And you have BTL. They are multiple. Which means if one cut you off, if one vex with you, you have the next one. If one no advertise with you, you have the next one, etc. And I am trying to, as I come to Belize this morning, I'm trying to come as simple as possible. I am not casting any aspersions. I am not singling out any individuals. I am trying my best to just remain above the fray before it gets dirty. Before it gets dirty. I'm trying to be above the fray and just explain to my viewers and the Belizean people why we cannot ever again have a monopoly of transmission. And that is what BTL seeks to do. So we not pay attention to it. It came, there was a little thing in the wind about $150 million purchased by BTL of Smart. And instead of BTL come out and say, no, that is not true, the long press release came out. And it's like there's no conversation, there's no debate, there's no upheaval. But the reason is because a lot of things are taking place, but that caught our attention in the media, our full attention, that. So why is it that in other countries, when a company gets too big, the government has to step in and break it up to ensure that there is competition on behalf of its people? Why is Belize the opposite? Why is Belize the opposite? Why is it that in Belize, you want to convince us that a monopoly is better when the world knows that competition is what brings down prices, not monopoly? When the previous administration created the monopoly on butane with that company that sits outside of Belmopan, we told you that butane will be more expensive and that any monopoly hold. You know what they said? Oh, they will stabilize services. They never said they will bring down the price. We told you they will take the price up. The price will go up. And here we are paying the most expensive butane prices we ever have paid. And then when this current government came in, this government sought to break up the monopoly of butane so that other companies can have an opportunity to have depot so that there can be competition in prices so that the prices can go down. So if this government is breaking up a monopoly of butane, why would it create one for media, which is telemedia, which is BTL? And so I am just letting PlusTV viewers know what is happening and how we as PlusTV can be negatively affected by any such merger, because it puts all of the media houses on one monopoly carrier. And I need to make that very clear. As I said, I'm not casting any aspersions. I will just, at this point in time, make it very clear that we have never supported. We were one of the first to speak on the monopolization of butane. Why would we remain silent on attempts to monopolize a most important democratic asset like internet, which now carries television across the country of Belize? And so those are my words. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we'll probably discuss another topic. But look at how, as I said, in Iran, we see that the first thing that the government does is it shuts down the internet. Now, when it comes to that shutdown, the same thing that was done in Ukraine is now being done in Iran, where Starlink, owned by Elon Musk, has satellites around the world. Elon Musk opened up his system over Iran so that the people of Iran can get internet and can see what is taking place in their country. Now, again, I was too busy to make detailed comments about what is taking place in Belize as it pertains to SpeedNet, sorry, as it pertains to Starlink. Because Starlink applied to begin to provide services in Belize, which would have allowed for faster, cheaper, more efficient, more variety in internet acquisition. So the cutting edge technology of internet is now satellite. Why would Belize not embrace the latest technology for its development. Why? We have BPOs, and BPOs rely on internet, and we are claiming that we are growing with BPOs. So why not give them satellite technology? Why not give them the best technology so that they can become bigger, smarter, faster, more economic, and move our economy forward? Why? Why was Starlink blocked in Belize? They don't want competition, even though it's better, even though it's faster, even though it is more efficient. They block Belize. So you block Belize from getting Starlink, and then you are trying to consolidate and create a monopoly in internet? No, man, give us Starlink. Give us Starlink. We, as Belizeans, we must want options. Give us Starlink. And that must become the cry of Belizean if there is going to be a monopoly situation in Belize, because Belize must not have a monopoly. Can I, okay, we got to go to break, and when we return, again, as I said, there is more to discuss. We'll be right back after these messages, watching Rise and Shine on PlusTV.
Land of the coconut tree, I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef, I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree, I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef, I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace.
Benny's is kicking off Father's Day with popping deals for dad. In the month of June, visit a Benny's near you and get 19 to 25% off selected items such as Milwaukee and Axie power tools, Charbroil barbecue grills, car care products, Karcher pressure washers, and much, much more. Make dad happy with popping deals for dad in June, only at Benny's.
Benny's, Benny's, oh, Benny's, 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 oh.
Fletch Home Builders is the largest house building company in Belize. Fletch combines the best skilled workers, high-grade materials, and the latest technology to produce the highest quality wooden residential structures. Request any size, color, and the home layout you want. Choose from hardwood or painted metal outer walls. Fletch can modify any of their existing house plans to your satisfaction, complete with all the installation services you need anywhere in the country, including ambergris key. They can also lift your house to your desired height up to 9 feet. From properly treated and cured lumber to quality sidings and floorings, let Fletch Home Builders give your home the finish you need. For prices or questions, call 823-0398 or go to www.fletchhomebuilders.com. Fletch Home Builders, we build to suit your needs.
Hello Bemapan, welcome back to the second segment in this series of the Trade License Act 2024. I'm Councillor Chris Enriquez, and today we'll be discussing your business productive footprint and how it impacts your trade license fee. Let's break it down. Your business's productive footprint is the square footage of the area where your operations are conducted. It excludes common spaces such as agricultural lands, lobbies, restrooms, stairways, parking lots, storerooms, and shared hallways, unless they are used for profit. Your business falls under an economic classification based on your business type. This classification, as well as your zone, will further determine the rate applied to your business.
Hi, I'm Lauren Milton. I'm the Evaluation Manager here at the Bonfan City Council. I know a lot of people keep wondering what we're measuring when we visit their business. So let's take a closer look at what productive footprint looks like for the different types of businesses. As you can see, we measure the area used for business purposes only. This includes retail space, dining areas, or workspaces. For example, here's how the productive footprint is calculated for a coffee shop, a supermarket, and an office space, specifically an accounting firm. Let's take a coffee shop for instance. Here we see the kitchen, the bar, and the dining areas as productive space. What's noteworthy here is that a restaurant and an ice cream parlor has similar productive space as a coffee shop. Next, we have a supermarket. For this business, we measure the entire retail floor, including aisles, checkout counters, and display areas. The storerooms and employee break areas are excluded since they are not used to generate direct sales. Lastly, we look at an accounting firm office. The productive footprint here includes the client reception, conference rooms, and workspaces where the business's services are provided. Excluded are areas like break rooms, restrooms, kitchen, and non-operational storage. As you can see, productive footprint is the usable square footage where your business is conducted. This excludes common areas like lobbies, restrooms, and parking spaces, except in cases where these areas are used for profit. Remember, productive footprint looks different for different businesses, so be sure to accurately measure your premise to ensure your fees reflect your footprint. It is important to note that Schedule 8 of the Trade Licensing Act sets fixed trade license fees for specific classifications such as traveling professionals and auto dealers.
Knowing your economic classification and accurately measuring your productive footprint isn't the only factor in your trade license process. You must also consider that there are 4 municipal zones and that your business is located in one of them. Each zone has a different guideline that will affect the rate applied to your trade license fee. As a reminder, the new Trade License Act takes effect on January 1st, 2025. Businesses without a trade license by then are subject to penalties and fees. So we encourage everyone to apply early before the deadline, December 31st, 2024. Stay tuned to our next segment where we will answer your key questions. Thank you for watching, and let's build a prosperous Belmopan together.
Start the new year with big savings on your 2025 property taxes. From January 1st to March 31st, 2025, the Belize City Council is offering incredible property tax discounts that you won't want to miss. Prepay your annual property tax by January 31st, 2025 and enjoy 15% off. Pay by February 28th and you'll save 10%. And if you pay by March 31st, you'll still enjoy a 5% discount. But wait, there's more! Senior citizens can enjoy a fantastic 35% discount upon full payment of property taxes for the property they reside on all year round. Please note, these discounts are available only to property owners who are up to date with their accounts. As you take advantage of this discount, we kindly remind all property owners of your responsibility to visit City Hall or utilize our online platform to complete your payments and to ensure your contact information is accurately updated in our system. For more details on these incentives, visit our Belize City Council Facebook page or give us a call at 227-3073, extension 261 or 264. Your Belize City Council, always about the people.
The total span of the entire structure is approximately 25 meters, and it also has an overall width of 12.5 meters, which includes 2 lanes and also 2 pedestrian footpaths of 2 meters each. The design span for this bridge is basically 75 to 100 years, so that's the expectation of its life.
It's $2.4 million to complete the bridge, and we also did the boat ramp. We had to incur a little bit additional expense because we did the pontoon to be able to allow the residents to be able to cross while we are building. Infrastructure is one of the key elements for economic development. It allows people to generate more income. It does so many things. It will open the whole area for free flow of traffic. It gives you safety. And we're allowing, because of the height of the bridge, we're allowing now traffic of boats underneath. It will enhance the tourism product. It betters the quality of life of the neighborhood. And that's what we want to do. We are here to serve the people, and these projects is a symbol of that.
I wish to announce the renaming of the new bridge, not in a spirit of resentment towards our colonial history, but to honor an individual who truly reflected the country's identity, aspirations, and progress.
It's good, I would say good, and people will be happy to see a new bridge.
I'm very, very elated that this bridge has finally been realized for the people of today. It will change a lot. We'll move better, we'll move faster, and some people might even stop and take pictures because they're a pretty bridge, they're a nice bridge. I like the bridge.
From the minute I heard about it, something that I personally wanted done, this is a welcome news for Punta Gorda.
Every project starts with the right tools. At Builders Hardware, we got everything to get the job moving. Tools, paint, plumbing, electrical, garden, it's all here from construction start to finish. We're also offering a different kind of power tool. Order anytime, anywhere. Pick up in store or get it delivered to your home. Go to shopbuildersbz.com today and save money with our exclusive online deals. Builders Hardware, making it easier.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize.
15 in the studios of Plus TV. Are we live? Okay, so let's talk a little bit then about some of the other issues that are taking place in the country of Belize and around the world, because there are certain issues that are affecting us. You will recall that in January, President Donald Trump came into office and he began to implement some of the very same policies that he campaigned on. So his issues regarding tariff, his policies regarding tariff, his policies regarding immigration, these are all things that he placed on and in front of his constituents across the United States, and he campaigned on these issues. So he has every right to follow through on the mandate that he received from the American people. But that is having some effect on Belize, and it's having effect on many, many different countries around the world. I think they have like a couple of weeks more, maybe a week more or so, in which the larger countries will complete their trade negotiations with the United States. And after such, then we can expect that maybe smaller countries will find their slots. If the President of the United States has already said that the minimum is going to be 10%, well, Belize had already received that information that we would be charged 10%. So first and foremost is we need to function with that ability, with that information in our heads as a collective, as a people, that 10% is the tariff that is going to be placed upon all goods from Belize heading into the United States. Now, I have said it before, and I will repeat again, that we put tariff for American goods, and it's not 10%. It's certain cases, it's 40, 50%. Even the second-hand vehicles that come, crash vehicles that come, still pay a sizable amount of tariff and duties, not to mention electronics, which again is almost 40, 50% when electronics come into the country. So we, of course, don't put those taxes because we are trying to keep American goods out of our country. We are actually using it to put money into the consolidated fund. We are using it to help pay our budget, to help pay our salaries, etc. And so we have high tariffs on products that are coming, a duty that it comes to the same thing. We're using different words, but it's money out of your pocket that go whenever the goods cross the border and come into our country. So it means then that investors in the United States are taking a little bit longer to invest in Belize because of the uncertainties that are taking place. Everybody wants to see the leveling or the predictability. Investment requires predictability. So if the tariffs are high or the tariffs are low, you know what to do. But if the tariffs are consistently changing, fluctuating, or in negotiation, then investors are going to wait. They're going to wait. Supplies coming in from China, the tariff regime is not the final tariff regime, so some investors are holding back. And all of that holding back because of the tariff changes is causing uncertainty in the global markets. And that uncertainty in the global market reduces investment, where people are saying, I'm just going to wait. All right? So Donald Trump is saying that it's going to be great for America. The results, the final results are going to be positive. Well, it is left to be seen. I believe that he does a lot of very unorthodox policies, but they tend to work out. Now, when it comes to the economy, the effects are not as cut and paste. It's not as easy because, for example, when certain people get hustled at the immigration point coming into the United States, then people say, "Chop, me not going to States right now." And the airline industry in the United States begin to take a hit. The tourism industry begin to take a hit. You know, I don't want to go, people are saying, you know, I don't want to go to the United States, and then they're holding me for immigration and sending me back. So I don't think I'm going to go to the United States right now. And that could be happening all over the world. So you have this period of uncertainty as Donald Trump sets down his policies. And that uncertainty has a ripple effect around the world, including Belize. So we are already seeing a slowdown in tourism. We are seeing a slowdown in BPOs, and these are two of the major income generating methods for the country of Belize. So I believe that America's success is our success. I mean, most of our investors are from America. Our dollar is connected 2-to-1 to the US dollar. Most of the goods and services that we buy are American products, and much of what we sell, America buys it. So America's success is our success. I want America to succeed. I want them to do well economically, because that will have a positive effect upon our own Belizean economy as well. So we wish them well. But in the meantime, it's affecting our economy. And so we see that even though the economy has slowed down, teachers and public servants, they don't want to hear that. They don't depend that. They may even think that it is a lie, even though just the proper analysis will tell you that what is taking place in the United States will have a temporary negative effect upon the global economy. And Belize is a part of that global world. So the teachers and public servants, in a sense, they don't want to hear that. And there is this great conflict between the government and the unions that's taking place at this time. And again, that produces uncertainty in the Belizean market. So if we just come off a state of emergency in Belize City because the crime rate was going up, and then our teachers are blocking roads, etc. So what effect does that have on investors? It will have an effect upon investors, because they're saying, okay, now Belize is unstable. Belize is unstable at this point in time. Here is a state of emergency, and here the teachers are planning to slow government down. So what's an investor going to do? They are going to wait. And every wait means that cash is not being pumped into the economy. And so the situation between the unions and the government is also having a negative effect on the economy. So you see several things that are taking place which don't look good for the Belizean economy. And when the Belizean economy does not look good, that it doesn't look good for all of us. We are in the same ship together. All right? We are in the same ship together. So there is a slight economic slowdown that is taking place. How long that is going to affect us for, and what are the ramifications of that, are yet to be seen. But I think it's important for Belizeans to understand that the Belizean economy, which grew well last year, we are already halfway through 2025, and it's not doing as well. It's not even doing close to as well. And there is no resolution in sight between the government and the unions. So based on what I have seen, the words are still hostile. There is no trust. I don't think they're at the negotiating table. The unions have not moved from their position. The government has not moved from its second presentation or proposal to the unions. And so let's add to that the war that is taking place in now between Israel and Iran. If we think that these things don't affect us, something is wrong with us, because Iran is a major oil producing country, and at least up to yesterday, Israel was not targeting the ships and the oil production facilities. But last night, right, I think when we have day, they are at night. And a lot of attacks really happen at night for them. So this period of time right here, but it looks like Israel was changing its strategy, where over the last 24 hours, it had begun to go after some of the oil depots or oil production facilities, which will inevitably raise the price of petroleum around the world. And again, the price of petroleum, it drives inflation. It drives prices. So prices are expected to go up even farther. So the war in Ukraine affected fertilizer and many other things, but fertilizer was one of the big ones. And so because people couldn't get fertilizer for their fields, and Ukraine is also a major agriculture production state or country, then food prices began to go up as a consequence of that war. And so Belize does not live an isolated existence. It lives its existence in this global space. We are a part of the global space. And so we are going to be affected. Israel is already saying that this is no 6-day war. In other words, don't expect that it is going to finish in the next 6 days, because they are and have the right to, in my opinion, to reduce the risk of Iran having nuclear weapons, the capacity or even the probability. This is important, because they are a threat not only to Israel but to several of the other countries in the region. We know that to be true because they're the ones who sponsor the Houthis, they are the ones who sponsor Hezbollah, they're the ones who sponsor Hamas. And so it was just a matter of time before Israel turned its full attention to Iran, and I think that that is happening at this time. And so we can expect that this is going to continue until Israel believes that it has eradicated or dramatically reduced Iran's ability to produce nuclear weapons. That will have an effect on petroleum, which will then have, again, another effect upon the global market. So there are things we are debating here in Belize that we have no control or little control over in the grand scheme of things. So we will see how it plays out. And that completes my, my discussion for this morning. From all of us here at Rise and Shine, God bless you, Belize. We're out of here. See you tomorrow.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go?
Cyber Realty and Development is the leader in providing